buddy. So,
We've been live for a few minutes, but we're live now.
all right, Adam.
Oh, okay, good. What's
So,
up?
how do you want to hear? Okay, so where do you want me to? How do I begin
I
this?
mean,
All right, Adam.
it's your
My
life.
dream game. Is that what you want to know?
Yeah, you just let's do
All
it.
right, Adam.
Okay.
Okay, we open on a war-torn. In 19. When did the? Okay, hang on. Wait, I need
Wait,
to
I
Google
thought
something
you
real
were
quick.
like pitching me something.
I am. I am. Be patient.
Okay.
Okay, hang on. Okay, so it's 1974
Okay.
on the border of Laos in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Frank Castle is the lead. Is the Shut up! Shut up! You asked for this. All right. Captain Frank Castle
I want you
is
to know
a
that
what?
I meshed two games together last time.
Yeah.
So
So
you're just like it's
throw
just
up some pictures of the Punisher right now.
I
Right
can't
now.
I can't throw up shit.
You're gonna throw it up right now. All right. When you put this on YouTube, throw it up
You're gonna
now. Now. Now.
you're,
Now. Now.
you're gonna regret that.
I don't care. Anyway, so now the Punisher is I'm sorry, Frank Castle is the leader of Firebase is in charge of Firebase Valley Forge, and it's told through a series of flashbacks with his time and the tutorial. It's a third-person shooter, okay, and the tutorial is told through a series of flashbacks
Mm-hmm.
when he's green and he doesn't know shit and he's like and then it's like he's like fighting and shit like that and he doesn't and he's like a skinny little fuck and he doesn't know what to do and he's like and then you're like, oh, take cover here, blah 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 blah, and then run across the street, do this and shoot that guy, shoot this guy, and then later on in the tutorial, like this dude, like one of the green dudes that you met, who's like a total fucking, who's like your total buddy and taught you how to fucking take cover and shit. You find his fucking head cut off and his body mutilated, and then you find the guys who did it, and then and then it's sort of, then it's like character development. You fucking mutilate their body. I don't know. No, 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 no. You just do some fucked up shit to them that you don't really actually do. You just see it, and then
I'm sorry. Wait. You do some fucked up shit to who?
to the people who fucked up your friend in Vietnam,
Okay.
and then that's like later on. And you're still Vietnam soldier Frank Castle, and then
Okay.
it all culminates in this, and then you're doing some special ops bullshit with Nick Fury. This is only like 10-15 minutes in between. It's like really short. It's a relatively short tutorial, and then the fucking Firebase comes under attack, and then you're the only survivor because you're such a fucking badass, and you kill all these fucking Vietnamese soldiers who overrun your fucking base, and then it's just you, and then you go back to America. Tutorial's over. Fucking then you just go throughout some of the stories as I'm sorry, no. Okay. And then, you go through, then it's like the intro as soon as you get on the plane back to America, the camera tilts down from the plane going into the sky, and then it tilts down, and then you see the logo, the Punisher.
Okay.
Fuck you. Shut up. It's cool. Anyway, so you go in America, and it goes 5 years later. And then, fucking Frank, by then, his fucking family's dead, and he goes and he's on this fucking spree. And then it's like young Frank, and then it's like and then the second part, then the second half of the game after the tutorial, all right, is like three parts. It's like young Frank Castle, who's like doesn't really know who's like getting into killing criminals and shit like that. And then normal Frank Castle in like the 80s and 90s, who's like totally a fucking badass and killing shit and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then old Frank Castle. It's like Act 3 is like old fucking Frank Castle. So in each of the stories, it's like in each of the fucking parts is Frank Castle is taking on like signature villains like Jigsaw and fucking Barracuda. Put his picture up. He's really cool. And then right now. And then and then in the third part, fucking Wilson Fisk is coming to power.
Isn't
and then
that Kingpin?
yes, exactly. And this is the last part, the final part. And Wilson Fisk is coming to power. And then he's like,
When does
and then
Daredevil show up?
Daredevil doesn't show up. It's just you and it's just you. It's just Frank.
All
So then
right.
fucking
Sorry, Daredevil.
yeah, fuck. Daredevil's a pussy. Anyway, so fucking you as the Punisher, then fuck. You're like getting old. Controls aren't as super responsive. There's more sway when you aim and shit like that. Oh, another thing is it's an open world game. Through the first 2 acts, it's like an open world game. So you like, but and like it's like the Nemesis system from fucking Shadow of Mordor, right? So fucking you can do shit like it's like there's all these like fucking crime families and shit like that, and you're like dismantling them one by one. You know what I mean? And then, but if you get too good, if you get too fucking good at your job, they'll send like a really badass mini boss after you, like Barracuda or Jigsaw or fucking Bullseye. If they take Bullseye,
Is it
Bullseye
gonna
will
do the
come.
thing that Shadow of Mordor does, where like if you kill them, they die, but they come back?
No, that'd be gay.
Well, then you'll run out
Well,
of mini bosses.
no. Well, no. Okay, are you talking about those three, like Elektra and Bullseye and fucking Barracuda
Yeah,
and
like
Jigsaw and shit?
set
Okay, yeah. Okay, if you kill you guys, you can't really kill those guys permanently until the end of the game. Until the very, very end of the game, you can't kill those guys.
Okay.
But they'll come after you and shit like that because they'll be hired by like the 5 badass dude. The 5 bad, like it'll be like the Italians, the Irish, the Russians, the black gangs, and the Albanians, and like they'll be the fucking. Those will be the 5
Hey,
things.
pause
What?
real quick.
What?
My
Uh-huh.
air came on. I need to turn it off real quick.
I'm like really getting in the fucking groove of things. Son of a bitch.
All right, resume.
All right, so then fucking yeah, they'll send like bad guys after you, like bad guys that you should know from like the comics and stuff like that. And then yeah, like if you're doing, then you could do stuff like make them fight each other and stuff like that. Like oh, you let's say you raid a drug den, okay, and then you take some of the bodies and then put them on a fucking another person's turf or some shit, or put the shit or make it. You can like manipulate the crime scene to make it look like someone else did it. You know what I'm talking about? And then they'll fight each other over that shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you gonna have Batman-esque like detective vision?
He's not really a detective though.
But he's
He doesn't
trying
really
to
solve
manipulate
crimes.
things.
Yeah, but it's like fuck. It's not like detective vision. It's like you fucking do things that. It's because it's more about psychology because he knows how the other ones act. So it's just manipulating that. It's not like Batman where he's using like it's not as logical. You know what I mean? It's like he's manipulating their emotions. You know what I'm talking about?
I got you.
Yeah. So he'll just make shit look like the other gang does it or something like that. And then fucking so then Frank, this goes on for a while, and as he gets older, you know, like there's more sway in his gun and stuff like that, and he can't aim as well, and like his reactions are slower when he fucking fights, and I bet that might piss people off when you're playing, but because yeah, I know, but it's like it's a fucking long ass game. I'm assuming this would be like a long game. I don't know. Fucking Shadow of Mordor was pretty long, wasn't it? Anyway, I played. I got through a bunch of it, and then I got bored. But the thing is, this kind of game, you need to like
Mad
make.
Max?
No, I didn't.
You
Yeah,
didn't?
Mad Max got halfway through Mad Max. It got really fucking boring. Anyway, no, but the way you keep this interesting is you need to know to make your own fun, and you need to know to make your own fun, and you need to keep the mini bosses super interesting. Like they need to be just as crafty as you. Like they'll have to another thing. Okay. So there'll be like a fucking like a meter, right? So I'm sorry, not a meter, but it'll be like a sort of where you can sort of like ride the line between like helping the police. I'm sorry, wait. Okay. So let's say you do such a good job at like beating the shit out of Okay, so you can do things like smart and like quiet, and you know what I'm talking about? You can do things like kind of silence, like
Stealthy.
Sam Fisher style. Yeah. And it'll be like safer for like the police and shit like that. And it'll be more efficient. But I'm sorry, it won't be more efficient. Okay. It'll be more efficient to do it that way, and it'll keep the police off your ass. But if you go like guns blazing and shit like that, it'll keep the gangs off your ass, but the police will be like, we need to catch the Punisher and shit like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Me is basically if you go stealthy, the police will be like,
the police will like
give a shit, but the gangs will be like, the Punisher. What's the Punisher?
Yeah. And it's the opposite side of the spectrum if you do it like guns blazing.
It's a coin flip, basically.
Exactly. But the police will like give you intel and shit like that, because there's this one character in the comics named Detective Soap, and he'll like tell you shit. He'll like he'll like feed you information about like corrupt cops and stuff like that, and like he'll tell you like, this guy told the cops not to look at this area, and it's blah 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 blah. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So it'll be like that, and then anyway, okay. Later on. Okay, let's get to the end of the game. All right. So fucking Wilson. So you do such a good job by the end. You kill all the fucking 5 families or 5 heads of crime and shit. Okay, and then you find out you're doing such a good job that fucking Wilson Fisk is like consolidating the power between all of them and stuff like that. And then all your like safe houses in New York. The game is set in New York City, like the Division, New York City. Like that's how detailed it is. It's like the Division had a great open world, but it was fucking. It was so fucking. It had a cool open world, but you couldn't like drive around, and all you had to do was run around, and all people would do was like beg. They would beg for like, can I have some med packs or some shit?
Are you like planning a Spider-Man 2-esque open world here?
Yeah, I mean, no web slinging and stuff like that. Obviously,
saying, like you're saying New York City, and
yes,
the last superhero game I remember it was set in New York City would have been like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, but with the Division, what I'm saying is it's like one where you can drive around in, and it's like super super duper realistic and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's like yeah, like Watch Dogs E3 demo 2012. Like it's that realistic. You know what I'm talking about? That's like,
I wish I didn't, but I do.
Yeah, but you know exactly. Okay, so it's like that real and stuff like that. And then fucking so fucking So Kingpin is consolidating all the power and stuff like that, and he's got the police on his payroll and everything. So then all your safe houses start getting raided and stuff like that, and you start losing all of them.
Okay.
And then you start having all your gun upgrades and stuff like that start like they're not disappearing, but they're like not as good and everything because you're like older and stuff, and you can't really fucking operate as well. Okay. And you're getting older. You're fucking. It's set in 2009 or 2010, and he's like from the fucking yeah, and he's a Vietnam War veteran who does nothing but kill people for the past 40 years. So it's like he's getting really old. And then at the end, fucking Bullseye comes after you, and he's like really on your ass. It leads to this final confrontation.
Does he flick a peanut in your throat and kill you like that old lady on the plane?
Well, fucking. It was really funny in the comics. Well, okay, I won't talk about that. Anyway, so there's all these. Then it starts getting really story driven as far as like the plot goes. It'll be more like it's you like trying to take down what he has, but you're on the back foot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then fucking there's two ways of like taking down the Kingpin. There's like an ethical way and like one that'll like that's really kind of fucked up.
So an ethical way and a gawker
There's
way.
like not an ethical way, but there's like a way that's like way hard. That's really, really fucking hard to do, and that's like the final confrontation at Fisk Tower, and then you're like, it's like it's a really hard fight, and you're gonna have to shoot your way there with like a single handgun, and and there's like ways to debase like the police protection, like you could stage it. You could like fake a terrorist attack in Times Square to get the police off of the security of Fisk Tower. Fisk, like basically Wilson Fisk is Donald Trump in the sense that he's like, no. I'm saying in the sense, I don't mean politically. I mean like just in the sense that he's a Donald Trump like figure of New York. You know what I'm talking about? Like in New York, he's like
powerful because he has money.
He's extremely powerful, and his name is on everything. You know what I'm talking about? His name is everywhere, and it's unrecognizable. And then even Nick Fury is like, "Oh, he'll be president within that's an actual line from the comics." He said, "Within the next year, he'll be president." Like that was like 2010, and I'm like, "Wow, that's just like it reminded me a lot of Donald Trump."
I'm sure.
And I don't mean politically, but it's like it seemed apt. Anyway, so fucking anyway.
I love that.
Yeah. So you're like clawing to take down the Kingpin. All your support from like your arms dealers who give you guns, they're too scared to give you guns. The police won't help you and give you tips anymore. It's just bare bones you. It's like Far Cry 2. Like there's nothing, no one will help you, and you have really shitty guns. Final way to take him down is I guess, I don't know, like the way I see it, it's like you can either rush in and kill him, like guns blazing with like a handgun or some shit, or whatever you've scavenged from all your other safe houses. You dig up his dead son's grave and then try and fucking lure him out to the fucking... That's what he does in the fucking comics. Okay. He fucking does that. It's like, oh my God. And then he fucking digs up his dead son's grave, and then it pisses his wife off so much that he has to go out and hunt the Punisher down. So then Fisk is basically drawn out to come at you, basically. And then throughout this, there's all these flashbacks to when he was a family. So when he was like coming back to from Vietnam, within like the 5 years that he tried to, it's like, remember it was like 5 years later. And then he starts doing all this when he's on the back foot, it's like 30 years ago or some shit. You see him like trying to be a family man and stuff like that, but it's like awkward, and like he doesn't really know how to like communicate with his family.
Wait.
These are flashbacks.
Is this
happening throughout
at the end of it, or like throughout the whole game?
At the end of the game.
Okay.
Because I want the player to like forget about his family, basically. You know what I'm talking about? Just like the way the Punisher forgets about his family. You're like so into fighting criminals and stuff like that, and it's so much fun, and you're enjoying it. And then it gets not fun, and then you remember, and then you're starting having flashbacks of your family, and how you weren't really there for them, and how it's like it's really, and how war, it's like it's more fun to be in a war that it like the way the Punisher sees it. It's like it's more satisfying to him as someone who like fights, and he like falls in love with it, and he enjoys it so much that when he goes to Central Park and hangs out with his family, he's telling his wife, "I want a divorce." And then right when he says that, she gets shot in the heart, and she's like so furious at him, but he can't, and he's like, and the reason he didn't see it coming was that like he was so like in his own head trying to come up with the words to explain that he loves war so much that he's like, Nick Fury comes to you the night before you go out to Central Park, and he says, "All right, come with me, leave your family, and then we'll just..." Because he knows he's fucked up. He knows the Punisher's fucked up. And then like he wants to fight so badly. and then because fucking like he works at a fucking, like, Frank works at like a slaughterhouse basically, and then fucking he thinks about Vietnam and like how he was in charge of fucking airstrikes and stuff like that. He held death in his held death in his hand. Like he could fucking control everything. And then when he's back in America with his family, it's like he's completely powerless and he doesn't know any better and stuff like that. So fucking as he's going to Central Park and he tells his family that he doesn't want to be with them anymore and that he's leaving, fucking that's when they get killed. And that's when you find out, that's when it's like natural. It's like it's something that it feels like Frank in his like inner monologue is like talking about how, as he's like killing Wilson Fisk, he's talking about how fucking like he lives to punish himself. He fights to punish himself for throwing away his family, and that's what being the Punisher means. And then at the very end, you're fighting and shit like that. You're bleeding out, and you're like, it's like the one climactic battle, and it's like your fucking guts are spilling out, and you get on the subway, and then he dies on the steps of his old. It's like fucking Red Dead Redemption, basically. At the very end, when you're like killing as many people as you can, and then fucking, but then you're slumping and like going in and out of consciousness, and you get on the subway, and then the Punisher fucking dies on the steps of his fucking old house in New York City, and then that's it. That's my dream game. And then there's like DLC. Oh, and then there's like DLC where you fight with like Nick Fury in fucking. Shut up! This is cool.
We'll see.
Yeah, I know, but it's like fucking. And then there's like more stories about how he worked with Nick Fury all these times and shit like that. There's one where he goes to fucking Russia, and then there's one where he goes to fucking one where they go to it's like their time in Vietnam together and stuff like that. That shit, you know what I mean? That's my dream game. Okay?
Now, if you'll remember back many months ago when we did this before, I asked you if you would green light mine, and we'll put the clip right here.
Like, do I know you personally?
No.
You said
right now?
no.
Yeah. Would you green light mine?
I have one question.
Yeah.
Is someone going to do a cool parkour flip into an RPG? Answer carefully.
It'll be an Easter egg.
All right, maybe.
Put that clip up right now.
That clip's gonna happen. It'll probably get taken down. It'll have it's gonna have
no sound.
But
yeah,
it's gonna be there. I showed that to people in the office, and they were like, "That's fucking dumb." I'm like, "Yeah." I'd greenlight your dumb Punisher game.
Thank you.
Just because I'd want to see you be like cheering and freaking out and running across my offices and being like, "Get security." I'm just like pounding the button under the desk.
Tell me it's not a good idea. Come on, man. Tell me it's not a cool idea.
I mean, as someone who doesn't give a shit about the Punisher at all,
would you give the Punisher a shit after that? Would you give a shit about the Punisher? Would you give him a shit? Would you give a shit about that after that?
Is it going to be on Wii U? Because everything else I have probably wouldn't play it.
Nah.
What would your Switch gimmick be?
My Switch gimmick?
As you stab someone, they've got like that vibrate that helps you like feel stuff. It's supposed to be like 4D vibration. You're like ripping out a guy's guts. You just feel his guts in your hands.
What? Switch gimmick?
Yeah,
like for the Nintendo Switch?
Yeah. The Switch has this like 4D thing.
Oh, no. Okay, it's like, do you remember the old Punisher game from like 2001?
Yes.
The Switch gimmick for this game was you would use the motion controls to like torture people, to like interrogate them, and then fucking, and then like you'd have to use the motion controls and like keep them like steady while you like held them over a fucking roof, like while you held them over like the side of a fucking building or something like that, like on the roof of a building.
Right,
and if you like did it too much, they'd fall and it wouldn't work.
It for the Xbox One and the PS4.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not PC though.
Not PC?
Not
No!
PC.
It'll come to PC like 10 years later.
Yeah, it's the re-release. It's the re-release.
Yeah.
HD re-release. I like it.
You like it?
Yeah,
okay, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.